The discussions over Ubisoft's spiraling continue, but there's a story that broke just 2 hours ago that is just adding fuel to the fire of a big change happening over there. And that is that Reuters is actively describing and talking about how there are further discussions that are progressing and are starting to evaluate structuring for a buyout of Ubisoft. In other words, the rumors that were there like a handful of months ago, or maybe weeks ago, I don't remember exactly when the rumors started spiraling. But the rumors that they were maybe seeking a buyout or something, or maybe they were open to it, that caused the share price to like shoot up a little bit. But, there was still a lot of question marks. It wasn't clear. But this report furthers and doubles down on that, suggesting that no, they're in like very serious talks about it. Reuters says, the summary, we'll read through this in a second, but they say, in summary, the Guillemot family seen wanting to retain control on a buyout. This is what I've been saying, where this doesn't magically fix anything. If they're bought out by Tencent typically has standards. They would want to go in there and start really pumping out like the live service games. They'd really want to pump out like a lot of gacha style stuff. So it would probably get even more toxic. So anybody who thinks that this is like good for Ubisoft, probably not. Like the problem with Ubisoft, in my opinion, are the Guillemot family members who just don't know what they're doing anymore. And they've just been floundering, trying to figure it out. So I think being bought out by Tencent does not magically fix that. Honestly, if they were going to sell to somebody, being bought by a Sony, being bought by a Microsoft, that would be the best case scenario in the situation of a buyout. Because at the very least, Microsoft tends to just leave studios alone to do whatever they need to do, for better or worse. But they tend to gut some of the corporate leadership. Same with Sony. As we've seen recently with them starting to restructure Bungie after they failed to hit targets. So there's the potential that this ends positively if they're bought out by somebody that gets rid of the Guillemot family. But it sounds like part of the conditions of these deals and these negotiations is that the Guillemot family wants to remain in control. And if that's the limiting factor, there is literally no scenario where, in my opinion, this helps Ubisoft games get better, because the people who are making the mistakes now would still be in control, like it wouldn't actually fix anything. But they go on, Tencent is undecided on increasing their stake. They're not so sure, which is a little funny that they are a major investor and now they're like, they've got cold feet. They're not sure if they want to put more money in. Minority shareholders push for a sale amid stock decline. Yeah, that's the thing, is the smaller shareholders really, really want them to sell and move on. And then shares spiked 16% after this report went up, which actually caused them to halt trading. So they shut down trading on Ubisoft stock because it was spiking so much at the prospect of a buyout. That should tell you everything you need to know about how investors feel about the company right now. They just desperately want a change. But again, like the one thing that I think would happen if Tencent were to buy them out or become like 50-50 partners or whatever, Tencent, without a doubt, they are cutthroat as all hell. They would lay off thousands and thousands and thousands of people. We just got the news that X Defiant was shutting down, and that studio, Ubisoft San Francisco, and what was the other one that got shut down? I'm blanking on the other one. One of the other ones got shut down, and it accounted for, when all is said and done, probably around 300 jobs are going to go away as a result of those layoffs. If Tencent takes over, they probably do what their investors have been calling for, which is to shed about 30 to 45% of all of Ubisoft, which is, thousands of jobs. 6,000-7,000 jobs. Like it would be a metaphorical bloodbath of layoffs if Tencent took them over. So I do not want to beat around the bush. Like this makes investors happy, but this would just be, it would be transformative, to say the very least. Now, maybe that 40% layoffs where thousands of people are laid off, maybe that is better than the entire company going belly up and 20,000 people losing their jobs. So you could look at it that way, where it's like 7,000 layoffs or 20,000. So maybe that's a net positive, but still the point is it would be a huge shakeup. But they say shareholders of Ubisoft Entertainment are considering how to structure a possible buyout of the AC video game maker without reducing the founding family's control. Two people familiar with the matter told Reuters. This is the thing though. I understand they're the founding family, but if you've run the company into the ground to the point where you need to sell it because everything's going belly up, why would you stay in control? Like, it's unbelievable. The Guimont family, which is the largest and founding shareholder, has been in talks with Tencent and other investors in recent weeks about funding a management-led buyout of France's largest video game maker, the people said, speaking on the condition of anonymity. However, the Guimont family has indicated that it would like to retain the control it has over the company, which also makes Just Dance, Far Cry, and Tom Clancy video games series as part of the deal. Tencent, currently the second largest shareholder in Ubisoft and China's biggest social network and gaming firm, has yet to decide whether to participate in the buyout and increase its stake in the company, which is surprising to me. Like, if Tencent is iffy, that's surprising, because Tencent historically, anytime they have the chance to buy anything, they jump at it. Like, they love it. That to me suggests that they are not at all confident in what they see behind the scenes. And as the second largest shareholder, if they're seeing the stuff behind the scenes, if they're seeing all of that stuff and they are iffy on this, that should tell you a lot. If they had some Witcher 4 level projects in the works that were going to blow up and be hugely successful, and they're like, yeah, this is going to save the company, they would be jumping at the opportunity, but they're not. And I think that says a good amount. Or perhaps you could be more cynical and be like, well, they just don't see many gacha or NFT projects in the pipeline, so that's why they're not interested. Maybe that's it. But either way, they don't see a lot of financial opportunities. They say this is partly because it has asked for a greater say on future board decisions, including cash flow distribution in return for financing the deal, which has not been agreed upon with the Guimont family, the person added. Discussions between the two parties are ongoing, as Tencent also wants to prevent any potential hostile takeover of Ubisoft by other investors, said the person, adding that Tencent's plan is to remain patient and wait for the founding family to agree to a deal. Tencent may opt not to increase its stake in Ubisoft, as it considers its current direct holding of almost 10% in Ubisoft sufficient for maintaining its gaming business cooperation with the company. Tencent declined to comment. A representative of the Guimont family did not respond to requests for comment. Quote, "We remain committed to making decisions in the best interest of all our stakeholders," a spokeswoman for Ubisoft said. "In this context, we have already indicated the company is also reviewing all of its strategic options." In October, Ubisoft said it regularly reviewed all of those options, but declined to further comment. Shares of Ubisoft rose as much as 16% after the Reuters report. Its shares were trading up 12% at 13.2 euros in the afternoon. The buyout talk comes as some minority shareholders, including AJ Investments, have been pushing for either a take private or a sale of Ubisoft to a strategic investor amid the stock price plunging. The company shares fell to their lowest level in the last decade in September after it cut its outlook on weaker than expected sales and postponed the launch of Assassin's Creed Shadows title. This week, it also announced it would discontinue development of its gaming title X Defiant. Ubisoft is run by the Guimont family, which owns 15% of the company, followed by Tencent, which owns just under 10. The family held about 20% of Ubisoft's net voting shares, while Tencent owned 9.2% as of the end of April. There's a few things we know for sure. Ubisoft is in trouble. Ubisoft has lost the confidence of gamers, which are their customers. So they cannot, like it used to be, if they spent $500 million on a project, they could at least make that back so they could stay afloat. Nowadays, that is not a given. They can spend hundreds of millions of dollars on a game and players will just not jump or bite at it, and they will wait for a sale. And that is kryptonite for these big corporations. It doesn't work. Like the trick is not working anymore. It's not working anymore. What's the stock price at the moment? They froze it after this, so it's still locked at about 12, which is typical. I mean, whenever there's a lot of volatility with any given stock, they'll freeze it while they try to figure out what's going on so that there's no like crazy surprises or unfair trading going on. But with this, I mean, I think there's a few things. What do I think will happen and what do I think would be best for Ubisoft? And then maybe what's the practical best solution? So first things first, what do I think will happen? I think they probably take it private. I think they're bought out by maybe Tencent finances the deal with the Guimont family. Guimont family loses the majority of revenue in the company, but maybe they control a decent amount of voting. Who can say? But I think that they probably sell because I think there's just not really a great solution elsewhere. And I think if Tencent is the partner in that solution, in that project, I think there's an opportunity or a potential for the company to be gutted pretty extremely and reworked significantly. I think you'll see them double down on Rainbow. I think you'll see them double down on mobile game spin-offs and ports and stuff of their games. Assassin's Creed will remain the main focus for the company, but I think you're going to see pretty much everything else Ubisoft has tried to touch or work on will get shut down, and you will see thousands and thousands and thousands of people laid off. Beyond that, I think another possible option would be if Microsoft wanted to get in it. Ubisoft has a historically friendly relationship with Microsoft, so I think there's the potential for that. Tencent, though, I don't think wants that, and I don't think Phil Spencer wants the Guillemot family in charge if he were to run it, if he were to buy them. I think they'd want to kind of clean house a little bit, which I think is good, because I do think Ubisoft needs pretty demonstrably significant reworkings for the good of the employees, for the good of their fans and customers. I think they need to shake it up. The fact that the Guillemot family and the Yves Guillemot wants to retain control as a condition of this, I'm like, you don't have a lot of leverage right now, dude. Like, the company is in free fall in terms of the stock price. And I guarantee you, if they announced that they were going to go and not sell, if they were going to retain control, I guarantee you the stock price would plummet to all-time lows. Yeah, so right now they're at 1332 euros. Back at all-time highs, they were up in the 80s or 90s. They were in the 90s back in 2018. So, you know, if they announced that they were not pursuing any potential sales, they would drop to like the lowest point since probably like 2002. They would drop to like 4 or 5 euros a share, and they would be talking about going bankrupt, and there'd be tons of problems. But there's the potential for them to figure it out. I mean, you can see here now the website freezes. Now it freezes. Nope, the website's just down. Okay, Yahoo's having troubles. Anyway, the point is, I think that the only way out of this spiral is to have some solution, a buyout, a merge, something like that. And if they can do that, they get a second lease on life. They can figure that out, but they've got to figure it out, because they used to be worth like 12 to 15 to 20 billion dollars, and nowadays they are worth 1.5 with the current leadership, I'd say, is what they're comfortable with, and they have far too many employees for what they put out, according to investment analysis firms. So they've got to do something different. They've got to change it, and I think most likely they do something with Tencent in the form of an acquisition. Ideally, it would be like a gaming firm like a Sony or Microsoft buying them. Best case scenario would be they remain independent, because being independent, I think, is good. We need more independent publishers to keep the industry competitive, so not everything is just being bought up by the big conglomerates. But I think that's pretty unlikely, because for them to remain independent and then still be successful, I think they would need to completely clear out leadership, and I don't think that that's super likely either. Yeah, most likely Tencent funds a private buyout. Yeah, I think that's the thing. But I think here's the deal. I think Tencent knows that they are the lifeline, and Tencent is not going to just hand the keys to the drunk toddler that is the Guillemot family. I think they know they're in control, and so they are going to wait until it is optimal. Like, I think they can just be patient. They can sit on it. They can just be like, hey, we're going to wait until Ubisoft doesn't have a choice but to take the offer, and we're not going to like lose control. I think that's the big thing. Like, they don't need to play it that way. So they probably just sit and wait until Ubisoft gets into a really bad spot, and then they go back to Guillemot, Yves Guillemot, and they say, listen, this is tough, but we can help you out. We just need a little money. We need a little more sway. We need voting power. We need this. We need that. And you have to say yes, because you don't have another choice. And I think that's what it should be, frankly. took my thing.